Okay, let's jump right into it. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei almost never posts on social media. So when he actually took the time recently to write this deep dive response to investor Gavin Baker about AI regulation and public trust, well, the whole industry stopped to listen. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking this really rare, super insightful weekend post to figure out what's actually driving one of the biggest names in AI. Now, this wasn't some heated internet debate. It was actually this incredibly measured, three-pillared vision for the future of AI. It gives us this amazing, direct window into how Anthropic is balancing, the extreme promise of this tech with the very real need for guardrails. Honestly, if you want to know where AI policy is really heading, consider this your blueprint. So let's hit Pillar 1, Rethinking AI Regulation. Right off the bat, Amodei challenges this sacred Silicon Valley myth, the idea that regulation just automatically creates monopolies by crushing small startups. He flat out calls this a false choice. Why? Well, because AI already concentrates power on its own, just by the nature of scaling laws. It takes massive, centralized resources, literally billions of dollars in compute and capital, to build frontier models. So in Amodei's view, well-designed rules don't centralize power. They actually decentralize it by acting as a counterweight to that natural monopoly effect. He makes this brilliant analogy here using the court system. Sure, courts can feel agonizingly slow, right? Super formal and bureaucratic. But think about the alternative for a second. These structured systems actually protect smaller competitors and everyday individuals way better than some informal mob-based system. A formal structure protects people because decisions are grounded in established, predictable rules, rather than just the whims and personalities of whoever happens to be in charge. And this isn't just abstract theory for him. This translates into hard policy. In what's honestly a pretty rare move for a tech giant, Anthropic actively supports rules that would actually slow down frontier AI labs, and yes, that includes themselves. At the same time, they want to exempt smaller competitors to give challengers some breathing room. So by backing things like California's SB 53 and pushing for federal pre-deployment testing, Amodei is basically signaling that the regulatory conversation is finally growing up. We're moving from industry resistance to actual, serious structural planning. Moving right along to Pillar 2, the biological promise. So, Amodei really pushes back on this idea that he only focuses on doom and gloom. In his essay, Machines of Loving Grace, he points to this absolutely staggering upside. He argues that advanced AI could literally compress 50 to 100 years of biological research into a single decade, just 5 to 10 years. At that kind of hyperspeed, he actually believes we could cure most diseases within our lifetime. It's a massive, massive prediction. But this isn't just numbers on a page for him. There's a very deep personal urgency here. Amodei shared that his father passed away from hepatitis C just shortly before curative antivirals were finally developed. That devastating timing completely shapes his push to streamline FDA processes today. He wants to make absolutely sure that when AI does accelerate drug development, those life-saving treatments aren't just sitting there, bottlenecked behind outdated review systems. He is fighting for a future where those critical breakthroughs actually reach the patients in time. And that brings us to Pillar 3, earning public trust. So, Gavin Baker, the investor he was responding to, was worried that openly discussing AI risks is what's making the public afraid of the technology. But Amodei, he disagrees completely. He argues that the public's distrust isn't being caused by safety warnings at all. Actually, we're just living through this massive, long-standing crisis of faith across the board. People already don't trust giant corporations or governments or big tech. AI isn't creating this skepticism out of thin air. It's just inheriting it from a public that's frankly been burned before. Okay, so how do we actually fix this? Well, Amodei admits that the single most valid criticism of AI right now is that it hasn't delivered enough everyday benefits for normal people. You can't just fix deep institutional distrust with PR campaigns or marketing cliches like AI is going to magically cure cancer. That fails every single time. Trust is only earned through tangible outcomes, period. Delivering concrete, measurable medical benefits is really the only bridge to actually rebuilding public perception. Looking ahead, Amodei lays out a very clear path forward for Anthropic. They're rapidly expanding their work in biology and medicine, and they're really hoping to see early signs of real progress in the coming months. But here is the absolute critical takeaway. They promise to keep quiet until they have actual world-changing breakthroughs to show. Breaking that endless tech hype cycle is key for them. When real breakthroughs arrive, they're going to shout it from the rooftops, but not a single second before. For Amodei, transparency is infinitely better than just empty optimism. Which leaves us with this final thought for today's explainer.
Transparency and careful regulation, those are great foundational steps, for sure. But the real question is, can the AI industry actually deliver tangible, life-saving goods before a highly skeptical public just completely tunes them out? It's this incredibly high-stakes race between astonishing medical breakthroughs and collapsing institutional trust. And the clock is definitely ticking. Thanks for joining me, and keep questioning what's next.